Boarding a cruise ship for the first time is an incredible feeling. The sheer size of the ship, the buzz of other passengers, the promise of adventure. It's easy to get swept up in the excitement, and it can be tempting to think, I'll just figure it all out once I'm on board. That's exactly how I felt on my first cruise just over 3 years ago. Now, while I had an amazing time on the inaugural voyage of Norwegian Prima, I also made a lot of rookie mistakes. After the cruise, I couldn't help thinking, I wish I knew how that worked. Fast forward to today, and I'm now a cruise ship speaker, giving enrichment talks on all kinds of ships all over Europe. So I've learned a lot since that first trip. On every single cruise I take now, I meet more first-time cruisers who are making many of the same mistakes I did. Now, in some cases, I can help them, point them in the right direction, but in others, they've chosen a ship or an itinerary that just wasn't right for them. So in this video, I'm going to share 15 things I wish I knew back then on my very first cruise, and I hope these help you. By the way, I'm David Nikel, a cruise ship speaker specializing in all things Northern Europe. If you've got a cruise coming up, join my free newsletter, The British Cruise Traveller, for insider advice and behind-the-scenes insights. Head on over to davidnikel.com or check the link down in the comments. Now let's crack on with the first of the 15 things. Number 1, pick the right cruise line for you. A lot of first-time cruisers focus on the itinerary when they're choosing a cruise. And yes, that's super important. Where you're sailing is fundamental to the experience, but it's not everything. Don't ignore the cruise line itself. Each one has a very different atmosphere. Some are all about big resort-style fun with water slides, go-karts, and Broadway-style shows. Others are more traditional with quieter evenings, formal dining, and a smaller ship feel. Take Norwegian Cruise Line, for example. The whole concept of freestyle cruising is about picking and choosing when and where you eat. There are no fixed restaurants or dining times. Contrast that with Fred Olsen, a British line I regularly speak on. They're much more traditional with fixed dining times and formal nights that most guests embrace. But there can also be big differences between the ships on the same cruise line. Take P&O Cruises, for example. Now, the British line are famous for a more traditional approach to cruising, and the size of their ships these days are considered quite small. But their two most recent ships, Avia and Iona, are enormous, with a completely different vibe to the older, smaller P&O ships. I always say this, there is a cruise line out there that's perfect for you no matter what you like. However, there's no one cruise line that's perfect for everyone. Choose the wrong one for your style and you might feel out of place, even if the itinerary is perfect. Number 2, arrive the day before departure. This one is simple, but oh so important. Don't risk traveling to the ship on the day of departure. All it takes is one flight delay, a missed connection, or even bad traffic, and suddenly you're waving goodbye to your ship from the dock. The only time this did actually nearly happen to me was on that first cruise, when a short connection very nearly went wrong. I made the plane by the tightest of margins, and ever since then I've always traveled a day before, even if I'm not flying to the departure port. So unless you live right by the port, plan to arrive at least a day early. Yes, it means paying for a hotel, but you'll start your cruise relaxed instead of stressed. Trust me, walking onto a ship with a good night's sleep behind you is so much better than running on nerves and adrenaline. Number 3, plan your packing. On that first cruise, I massively overpacked, and this is one of the most common rookie mistakes. Not only did I overpack, but I also didn't bring some things I wish I had. Now, most cabins don't have enormous amounts of storage, and you really don't need 10 or 15 different outfits for one single cruise. Bring versatile clothes you can mix and match, and remember, most cruises are more casual than you might expect. It's also easy to do laundry on board on a longer cruise, whether it's in a self-serve laundry or even in your bathroom sink. But here's one tip for you. Always keep a large carry-on with you on embarkation day. Your main luggage can take hours to show up outside your cabin, so put essentials in your carry-on. medication, a change of clothes, perhaps even your swimsuit, so you can start enjoying the ship straight away without waiting for your luggage. Before you even start packing, check your cruise line's rules. Items like irons, kettles, and surge-protected power strips are usually banned, and getting them confiscated at security is not the best way to begin your trip. However, items like a refillable water bottle, magnetic hooks for cabin walls, or a USB hub can make life easier. Number 4. Internet works differently. On that first cruise, my phone automatically connected to a maritime data network. Now, thankfully, I noticed quickly and was able to put my phone onto flight mode, disconnecting, before I racked up a huge bill. That's lesson number 1. Always put your phone in flight mode once you leave port. The internet at sea just doesn't work like it does on land. Speeds can be slower, although the recent adoption of Starlink technology on many cruise ships has helped with that. Connections can drop in and out around the ship, and in most cases, you'll need to buy a Wi-Fi package from the cruise line. Some are sold per day, others for the whole trip, but in very few cases are they cheap. These days, a range of eSIMs and other deals from your network provider are becoming more common, so do your research if connectivity is important to you. And remember, the more sea days you have away from land, the better value some of these packages will be. My advice, decide in advance how connected you want to be. If, like me, you run your own business and you need to stay connected, then budget for it. But if not, consider going without. You might actually enjoy being disconnected for a few days, and you'll save some money too. Number 5, use the cruise line's app. Now, even if you do plan to disconnect, don't ignore the cruise line's app. In most cases, you connect through the cruise ship's Wi-Fi without needing to buy an internet package, so it's free to use. That means you can still disconnect from the outside world if you want, but the app makes life on board so much easier. Depending on the cruise line, it might just be an information source where you can check daily schedules and restaurant opening times. But on others, you can reserve tables in specialty dining restaurants, order room service, or even reserve seats in the theatre, all from your phone. Honestly, it saves so much time and stress compared to queuing up at guest services or waiting in line at a restaurant. Number 6, think carefully about drinks packages. Here's one I got badly wrong on one of my first cruises. I paid for a drinks package on a longer cruise that cost almost £1,000 for the two of us, and we just didn't get the value from it that we thought we would. Unless you're drinking many alcoholic drinks every single day, it can be hard to break even on a drinks package. That said, do consider the smaller packages too, even if you do drink alcohol. If you're someone who drinks a lot of soft drinks or specialty coffees during the day, you may get good value from the cheaper packages. The key is to think about your actual drinking habits rather than what sounds like good value when you're booking. Number 7, understand your dining options. On your very first cruise, the buffet feels exciting. Rows and rows of food, seemingly endless choice, eat what you want, when you want. It's all part of the fun. But honestly, the novelty wears off quite quickly. What I didn't realize on my first cruise is that the main dining room is often open for breakfast and lunch, as well as dinner, and it's usually much calmer than the buffet. No fighting over a table, no lines for the toaster, just table service, and a far more relaxed start to your day. And in the evenings, don't assume going to the main restaurant locks you into a long, formal 5-course dinner just because the menu says so. You can absolutely order just a main course if that's all you want. And also remember that casual dining options go beyond the buffet. Many ships have cafes, grab-and-go options such as a poolside grill, or even room service that can sometimes be included in the cruise fare or available at a low cost. Either way, it's another way to keep things flexible. Finally, almost all ships offer specialty restaurants that come at an added charge. Typically, these focus on one kind of cuisine, like a steakhouse or a sushi or teppanyaki grill. Whether they're good value or not, that's a decision that's entirely up to you. Number 8. Research your ports ahead of time. This is yet another one I learned the hard way. On that first cruise, we docked in Cove Island, and as we returned to the ship, we realised there were several things we would have liked to have done as we chatted to other guests. We had no idea they were available. Then in Portland, England, we chose the wrong option for us entirely. We struggled to find somewhere for lunch, and it wasn't the most enjoyable of days. You don't need to plan every hour of the day. In fact, that's a problem in itself. But knowing what's nearby, how far the port is from the city, and whether the cruise ship excursions are worth it can transform your day ashore. And hey, by watching videos like this, you've already taken the first step in researching your first cruise. Well done. Points to you. Number 9, keep an eye on onboard spending. Cruises are often sold as all-inclusive experiences, but the reality is the expenses quickly add up. Drinks, Wi-Fi, spa treatments, photos, souvenirs, even specialty restaurants. It's easy to spend a lot more than the base cruise fare. On our first trip, I didn't check the cruise account until the end of the voyage. And, well, while I didn't get a massive sticker shock, I was a little surprised at the number we'd managed to accrue. Most lines let you track your spending on the app or your stateroom TV, so get into the habit of checking it every day. That way you can avoid surprises and fix any mistakes right away before you leave the ship when it's often too late. Number 10, understand cruise gratuities. Tips. Yes, perhaps the biggest frustration for those new to cruising, especially if you're a Brit going on an American line, because in American culture, tipping has gotten totally out of hand. In the UK and Europe, tipping is considered a gift, a bonus for good service, but in the US, they are considered compulsory, and not only that, a part of the wage. This attitude has made its way onto cruise ships, and gratuities are usually added automatically to your bill and then shared between the crew. On some lines, this is $15 per person per day, or even more. This adds a huge amount of money to your final bill, so I recommend prepaying your gratuities on lines that allow you to do that. Yes, tipping for service before you've received it goes against the whole concept of tipping that I grew up with, but it does take the stress and uncertainty away. Or you can, of course, consider going with a cruise line that actually includes gratuities in the cruise fare. Number 11, look for discounts on port days. On my first cruise, I had no idea that prices for things like lunch in specialty restaurants, spa treatments, or even haircuts drop, sometimes dramatically, on port days. Now, I don't go on a cruise to get a haircut, but even so, I know plenty of people who love a good spa treatment while they're at sea. If you've already been to a particular port, or you're just not that interested in going ashore, then that's the perfect time to stay on the ship and snap up some of those deals. You'll save money, and the ship will be much quieter too. Number 12, don't miss the onboard talks. Okay, so as a guest speaker, this one might be a little self-serving, but I've genuinely been surprised at the variety and quality of talks available on many of the world's cruise ships. Some people are destination-focused, like me. Others are retired detectives talking about true crime, former pilots explaining all things aviation, astronomers helping you figure out the night sky, and wildlife experts giving you the heads up on what you might see from the deck. Don't miss this opportunity to learn something new. Number 13, read the daily program. On that very first cruise, I did miss out on many events I would love to have attended, such as talks and little events around the ship that I just had no idea were taking place. I quickly learned that the secret to keeping on top of it all is the daily program. This little guide has everything: the enrichment talks, the evening entertainment, special offers, and important announcements about the ports. On many ships, it's delivered to your cabin each evening, but some cruise lines now keep it entirely in the app or on the cabin TV. Either way, make a habit of going through it before you go to bed. That way, you'll wake up knowing exactly what's happening the next day, you'll be excited about what's coming up, And most importantly, you won't miss out on anything. Number 14, expect some motion and be prepared. Don't ruin your cruise by assuming you won't get seasick. It can happen to you. Even if you're fine on car journeys or ferries, things can feel very different at sea. On my first few cruises, including a few up to northern Norway, where the weather did get rough, I was absolutely fine. But on another rough trip, suddenly I realized I could never again say, I don't get seasick. The good news is there are plenty of ways to prepare. Some people swear by motion bans, others use ginger or other natural remedies, and many rely on medication. I'm firmly in that latter camp, so I recommend you have a chat with your doctor to see what travel sickness medication would work best for you. A little preparation can mean the difference between a few uncomfortable hours or days and a cruise you'll actually enjoy. Number 15, don't try to do everything. That first cruise, I completely wore myself out. The excitement, the feeling that we had to be off the ship the entire time we were in port, and then trying to make the most of every show, every game, every activity on board that we stumbled upon. After a few days, exhaustion, well, it hit hard. It's almost inevitable on your first cruise, but try to pace yourself. You don't have to do everything on the schedule. Skip an activity, take an afternoon nap, or stay on the ship for an hour or two while everyone else rushes ashore. A slower approach helps you enjoy the entire cruise rather than burning out halfway through. Now, if you're wondering where to go on your first cruise, how about Norway? My home for the last 14 years and somewhere I love to speak about on cruise ships. It doesn't have the guaranteed sunshine of the Mediterranean or the Canary Islands, but it is packed with breathtaking scenery and wonderful opportunities for outdoor adventures all year round. Watch this video next for my complete guide in which I reveal everything you need to know before you go to Norway on a cruise.